What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Cleveland Pulse podcast. As always, I am your host, Justin Harold, and with me, my co host, Jeff Santa. Today, we are reviewing the Cleveland Browns win over the Cincinnati Bengals. This is episode 19, or otherwise known as the Baker franchise quarterback Mayfield podcast episode. I'm jacked. I'm super pumped about yesterday. We're recording this at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday, the 26th, and emotions are running high still for me. So, Jeff, how are you feeling about this game and everything?
I'm feeling great. There's your signature Baker game you're looking for. Talk about a crazy turnaround from, the terrible, one of the worst first quarters I've maybe ever seen from a quarterback. And that's kind of saying a lot, considering all the quarterbacks we've seen over the years. But wow, talk about just really keeping his composure and bringing it back now. Take the next step and let's have another big game like that. I mean, the Bengals, they're the Bengals. That's a team that we got to beat. That's a team that we lose to. That's a game we lose in the past very easily. Similarly with the first game, but now Baker, next step, have a huge game, have 3 or 4 touchdowns against an elite defense.
Yeah, and it really was like a bad first quarter in general. I think, if I'm being honest, that was like a really like one of the quickest first quarters I've watched. I think the game clock or like the time of possession for the Bengals was pretty insane for the most part. I think like they must have had the ball for 10 out of the 15 minutes of that first quarter because we only got um the two drives. We got the two drives where Baker didn't throw a single completion. He first drive he threw the interception in which Odell Beckham Jr. went down with a knee injury, still to be decided. They're going to take him in for a MRI today and everything. And so a lot of things looking really really bad for just Baker in general in that first quarter. Um, you know, it it couldn't have started off worse than it did. I mean, in the sense for Baker, I guess, coming off of last week when he threw the first drive interception, and when that happens, it usually means the downfall for the Browns. I think he's turned that stat around now to 1 in like 5 when he
Mhm.
throws a first drive interception or something like that. So, but yeah, like you said, it was really bad and everything, and so. Thankfully, it came off of a Joey Burrow at the goal line interception, so it was kind of nullified before it ever happened and all that. So, but what did you think of that first quarter in general, just all around?
The first quarters are just weird to me because I don't know. I feel like the one thing that I always gave props to Freddie Kitchens for, it just seemed like the first 15 plays of the game were always so good for the Browns, even for Baker. I felt like we scored a lot of first drive touchdowns last year. And then the rest of the game, it kind of was like, well, now we're going downhill. And, you said that you'd rather have the bad plays to get them out of the way. But that ball, that interception, I don't know why it's just the first pass of the game or the first drive. I just don't know why it takes them, a whole quarter to get into it. I mean, that's like it's basically we played basically the same first quarter and almost same first half as we do against the Steelers, but we're just kind of lucky we're playing the Bengals. If we're playing a good team there, I think we get smoked for a second week.
Yeah, maybe we do. Yeah, so if I could just, break down that first pass in general. So I saw someone else kind of do like a breakdown, and it's like the Cleveland Browns OBR on Twitter or something, or I don't know. It's some sort of person that breaks down the film. And they say that it's a good decision. It's just a bad execution. And so, I think we're last week, that first pick, it was both cases. It was a bad read and a bad execution throw. Um, my thing with the throws to Odell, and this is probably going to be the biggest storyline, other than how well Baker did for the rest of the game after this point. But my thing when Baker is throwing to Odell, it always seems like with Odell, he wants to try to get the one-on-one streaks and never throws the back shoulder passes to him. Whereas, you heard it all game long with Joey Burrow and almost like every one of his wide receivers. He do the back shoulder throw to his guys, and they'll come back for it, and it'll be a streak, but they'll come back for it. Not as much as like a comeback route, but a streak where he's throwing to the back shoulder where only his wide receiver can get it because he's got to stop and kind of come back for it a little bit. With Odell, a lot of the routes that take him down the sideline one-on-one, I always feel like they never have that like little back shoulder comeback fade, whatever you want to call it. It always seems like he's just like, it's always like, all right, just go as fast as you can down the field and we'll try to get you the ball. And Baker's got to do a better job of like floating it out there in those cases, but I don't know. The routes with Odell just seem like they're really forced and the playbook really doesn't open up. And, he gets injured after that first series. You don't see anything in the second series that would indicate that, the playbook changed that much. And then, the big storyline was everything from the second quarter on was just Baker Mayfield. And, that was the best Baker Mayfield game we've ever watched. It really is. You can't pinpoint another game within his career where, he played from behind the entire time. He had to answer every drive that he came out after the second quarter and had to put up points for, the Browns to be able to stick in this game. And, everyone was saying this whole year, Baker has been the thing that's been holding us back. Well, yesterday was that game where had Baker have held us back and everything, we would have lost that game 100%.
Yeah, that first throw is just his first couple of passes just seem so bad. That ball has to be down the field further or thrown to the sideline. I mean that's an easier throw to make sure that OBJ is the only person that could catch the ball. It's pretty much a lame duck, and it's a good play by the defender, but I mean that's just the only place really where that ball can't be thrown. I mean I'd still rather have him sail it deep. And then I just don't understand. He just gets into these. He's such a rhythm quarterback, which scares me. I don't know what changes, but the first couple of drives, I mean, every pass kind of looks a little bit iffy, and then he just turns it on for 21 straight completions and 5 touchdowns. They need to figure out what changes. Stefanski and him need to sit down and figure out like what clicks and why he just turns it on all of a sudden, or why it's going bad. If he could stay in that rhythm, and if they could just start him off better with easier passes. I know you're going for the home run ball there with OBJ, but I like the plays to Kareem. I love the touchdown play to Kareem. That was probably my favorite play of the game, just solely because I mean that was easy. That's not doing a whole lot, and I mean some of the throws to Bryant played very well, and the throw to Njoku was good. But the easy play to Kareem should be a receiving back. That's all he should be doing out there. He's more of a receiving back than Chubb, but just for Baker Mayfield's, I said it in the previous podcast, to check down to Chubb. I don't know that finally we saw some of that this week. He's going to be loose out there, and especially when you're not playing a good defensive line where Kareem's going to have to be in the backfield and block. I mean, get him out there. Baker doesn't have to do everything. He still doesn't have to make crazy good throws. I mean, he did when he needed to down the stretch, but against this team, like against the Bengals, like why are you making it harder than it has to be type of thing?
Favorite catch, Jeff? Really?
Yes.
Favorite touchdown the entire game?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not the 1 minute and
underrated.
6 seconds left in the game.
Nope.
Go and win the game when you didn't have to go win the game.
Nope.
Jeff, you're insane. You're
deep. I'm not insane.
You're literally insane.
That whole drive, I don't even remember that drive. I was freaking out.
That was the
I'm just talking about
greatest drive that I've witnessed as a Cleveland Browns fan, period.
Okay, but it wasn't necessary. Did it even need to
I
be?
mean, from the standpoint that it was necessary for Baker?
No, that game should have been over. If Terrence Mitchell has if I am in Terrence Mitchell's jersey, we don't even go through that drive because I have an interception and we win by 14 or 20.
Yeah,
That's
he
not even
was
necessary.
the
This
jumps
play to
bad.
Kareem, this is the easiest touchdown I've seen the whole season from Baker. He literally goes through his progressions. We're not forcing it to somebody. We're not making a tight window pass. We're not turning it over in the red zone. And it's just a nice, easy dump off. Load my team up with some fantasy points. Thank you.
Ah, there it is. There it is. There's the fantasy little
Finally.
hold. My goodness. Yeah, but going back to your point about Kevin and Baker sitting down and talking about what works, there's a lot of plays that you can go back to within that game. And, there were a couple throws where guys were just straight up wide open. Harrison Bryant had a couple of those where he was wide open in the middle of the field. Jarvis Landry. Um, but honestly, for some reason, and like I said, biggest storyline outside of Baker playing so well, and it just coincides with it more than anything. It seems like it's a whole different team and like a whole different balance of who Baker's going to and who he's throwing to when Odell's out of the game. It comes so much more naturally. And my biggest thing is you go back to 2018 when it's Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, Rashard Perriman, Nick Chubb, Njoku, those guys without Odell, that's Baker's best year. And it's just like he does so much better when he doesn't have to worry about getting the ball to Odell. I just don't know why, having such an elite receiver on your team like has like somehow put you downwards. I mean, you look at
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona, that's only worked out for the best for Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. But, you take Odell, and maybe, it has to do a little bit with Odell's personality, which I know you obviously have spoken about in previous podcasts that, it's kind of embarrassing sometimes. But I don't know. I've always just been the optimist about, at some point it'll get on track and it'll get to the point where it's a great connection between the two. But it it just hasn't happened, and it's been a year and a half. And even though we were 4-2, it seemed like the world was falling down for Odell. The sky was falling and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, man. I just think that the playbook kind of I don't know that the playbook itself opens up, but I feel like Baker Mayfield's eyes widen when
Mm-hmm.
Odell is off the field, and it's kind of like he's able to go through his progressions and not try to like focus on, all right, if is Odell open? Okay, he's not open, but is he going to get open, and continue to stare at Odell and try to just wait for him to get open and everything. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with Odell. Apparently, people seem to think the worst, but I don't know. If I'm being honest, I I feel like he'll be fine. I'm pretty sure one, he walked off on his own power, and two, I don't see anything to in the replays of me thinking that he somehow
Right.
tore his ACL or MCL on impact of falling onto the ground. So
Yeah.
we'll
I
see.
didn't even see anything. I don't even know. I didn't even know where he got hurt, honestly.
Right. I didn't know that until, they said it was a knee injury, that because at one point he just tucks his knees into his stomach, like, you know how like people do that to like stretch and stuff, and he walks off on his own power. I don't know. Um, but besides that, let's talk a little bit about the defense. They're just so porous right now. And
They're so bad.
I gave up on saying that, just wait till Greedy Williams gets healthy, because, having an extra DB is always a good thing. Well, now we're still probably not going to get him because he's on the IR. We probably, if anything, we won't get him until after the bye week, if at all. But at this point, I've kind of lost my favoring of Terrence Mitchell. He's honestly, just for the past couple games, he's kind of gotten picked on. With the Chase Claypools and the AJ Greens of the world, they're kind of
Mm.
just picking on Terrence Mitchell instead of, throwing towards Denzel, who, Denzel had a phenomenal game yesterday. He was really, besides Miles, a really good shining point. But the one thing that I'll say about Denzel is that he was kind of a shining point throughout the whole game, whereas I keep finding myself saying that, in the second half I see so little of Miles, except
Mm-hmm.
for like when they're talking about him and how well he's done in the beginning of the game. So
Yep.
I don't know. Our defense is so porous in the middle. Obviously, um, the Bengals have so many wide receiver weapons to go to and just target the middle of the field, but just a really bad showing by our defense again against another, I don't know, I guess like above average offense.
Yeah, and as much as Baker has probably one of the bigger games of his career, I mean, if you take Denzel or Miles Garrett away from this defense, we probably lose. Denzel with the best play of the first half, probably with the tip ball, and then Miles Garrett with another strip sack. But I totally get what you're saying. I mean, Miles Garrett 2 sacks and the strip in the first half, and then you don't even hear him the rest of the game. Just feels like he plays so hard for one half, and then I don't know if teams just readjust at halftime and really figure out the schemes for him. But we still don't have, like, Olivier Vernon has still been underperforming. We don't have another guy. It feels like they could get in the backfield whatsoever. We did a decent job against the run game, I guess. But I mean, Cincinnati just seems like they're going pass, pass, pass. Burrow plays pretty well against our defense. I mean, he looks good back there. That's probably one of the better games he's played this season. He just looks calm in the pocket. He was taking hits. He was standing there. He wasn't looking to run first, which is what I think they're looking from him. But yeah, you're totally right. Terrence Mitchell was in competition to overtake Sendejo this week as probably our most brutal defender.
Yeah, it was bad. It was there's just no letting it up. And even my dad, who he dislikes the fact that Greedy like gets hurt before every season. It's only been 2 seasons, but he's gotten hurt before each and
Right.
hasn't been able to play. He was like, even yesterday, he's like, I can't believe like I'd even want to say I want Greedy Williams back in the lineup. I mean, I know that Greedy Williams is a great player when he's out there. Um, he's better than Terrence Mitchell from what I can remember, but yeah, at this point, we kind of need to put Terrence Mitchell back into his, nickel spot where he's not covering one of the top two wide receivers on the team because I don't know. I don't, he's just been getting picked on. But to go back to your point, the first game, Joey Burrow to me wasn't that impressive. This game that he had against us was by far, I think, his most impressive game of the entire season. Obviously, I'll pull up the stats really quickly and share the view for you guys. But here, let me zoom in a little bit. So, like Jeff was saying, you look here, they only rushed Giovanni Bernard. Obviously, Joe Mixon was out. They rushed Bernard 13 times. They threw to him a lot more than anything. But if you look at this is almost as insane as what Baker did. 35 of 47 for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Probably should have been 2 interceptions, maybe 3 at one point.
Definitely too.
Um, I think at the most it should have been 2 because his throw, when Denzel, kind of blocked it and everything,
Mhm.
I think he should have lobbed that. But if he had lobbed that throw in the air more than he did, then he would have had another touchdown. So, but honestly, phenomenal stats to have. He rushed for a touchdown as well. That one quarterback's keep that he had to get like a
That
first
was
down on
that
his.
was bad.
Yeah, it just shows that Jeff. Every week I say in the preview that the middle of our defense, it's the worst. It's the legit worst in all the NFL. And you know, look at so many guys had 5+ receptions. I don't know how this happens so consistently. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Just look at the
Wait a minute.
averages.
Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I counted right the first time. 6 people with over 50 yards on their team. It's just ridiculous. And obviously, Bernard had a really good game because he started.
We're
T.
giving up like
Higgins,
9 yards a catch. We're giving up maybe more.
yeah, and even yak yards too. I mean,
Right.
the yards after catch
Yeah,
are.
some plays we just can't tackle. When they were in their part of the field going down to score, I just felt like Terrence Mitchell cannot tackle. I think Kevin Johnson kind of had a
He had a
decent game.
bad game. I
Kind of
think
kind of decent, better than Mitchell, but not great. I mean, still,
they blitzed him so much that he did have the one
we
sack.
blitzed a lot.
Yeah, it was really weird. None of the blitzes really, like the one time it got home, I think, but I don't know. It was like me and my dad were even talking about it. It was like, even the announcers were talking about it. They're like, the Browns, Joe Woods is blitzing a lot and everything. And it's like, this
Mhm.
is like, I know we do it sometimes because we have a lot of those corner blitzes. Like you bring in one of those smaller guys at corner to play nickel and they come in on the blitz, but they were just blitzing Kevin Johnson a lot. And it
Yep.
just felt like all of them were getting picked up for the most part, which is not what you want in a blitz. Usually someone's got to get home free, and it never happened. So, but yeah, our defense is just I don't know what we got to do because I don't know if it's a scheme or if it's because guys are hurt. I mean, I saw Carl Joseph, get a little bit of playing time.
Mhm.
That wasn't great. It took like the whole first half for Sheldrick Redwine to
Yeah.
come in, and
Need
even
him
then,
earlier.
yeah, even then he didn't like do anything, great or anything. But um, I feel like it's the linebackers. I mean, you, besides Goodson getting the easy interception off of Denzel's block and everything, none of the linebackers really popped out and did anything. I think Mac Wilson had one good coverage play in the end zone. He covered one of the tight ends really well. Um, yeah, he did probably the best besides Goodson getting an interception, but I don't know. Guys kind of just need to get replaced immediately on that linebacking core, and Mac Wilson should stay. Jacob Phillips needs to get healthy.
Mhm.
And then you need to draft a linebacker or go out and sign another linebacker. I know, obviously, you continuously text me during games about
Every week.
could you imagine if we had at least Kirksey or Joe
At
Schobert?
least. It's just
So
it's just so it's the off season and the lack of the preseason will just haunt me every time I'm watching our defense. Imagine Joe Schobert, imagine Goodson, Mac Wilson, Joe Schobert. That's pretty good. That's a lot better than what we have. I think Goodson's like actually decent. I just think he kind of the rest of the defense doesn't really help him out. And just Ward, Greedy, healthy. We have Del Pitt healthy. Imagine like 100% Carl Joseph. That's just way better. That probably makes our defense twice as good just off the rip. But
I think if you have Delpit, our defense immediately goes twice as good because then you don't have Sendejo out there.
yep,
Just
Sendejo's
makes
slow every time. And we just are so, our defense is so reliant on turnovers. We're so turnover reliant. I feel like it's either like, okay, Miles is going to have to get a strip sack, or Denzel is going to have to get a pick, or we're probably going to give up points. Like they're probably going to go down the field and get in field goal range, or they're going to go score a touchdown. I just don't see. I felt like in the earlier games, the Colts game and even this first Bengals game, giving up 30, it kind of felt like, okay, we were getting the stops, we were making the other team punt when we needed to. It hasn't felt like that the last 2 weeks. It kind of feels pretty easy. And that is a Bengals team without Joe Mixon. So that's an even bigger red flag to me.
Yeah, I wonder. It'll be interesting to see how this defense does the next week because the Raiders are probably like one of the more intriguing teams to me because
Mhm.
I can't really tell if they're good or not. I want to say that they're good. I just don't know if they're that one of the like
Right.
top echelon teams or if they're kind of like just like where we are, I
They're kind
guess.
of like us. I feel like they're
Yeah.
like us. I'm really glad this is a home game though. I'm super glad we don't have to go out West Coast.
Yeah, absolutely. But um, so turning on the heel and kind of going back to talking about the offense and just we'll talk about the whole offense for a second, I guess, and then we'll talk about Baker even more. But you know, yesterday a game where we don't rush for 100 yards. I think that's the second game now in a row with no 100-yard rusher. But we gave Kareem the chances, and I feel like in the first, second, and for the majority of the third quarter, we tried to rush on first down. And after this game, I really hope that ceases to be a thing that we do because, in all honesty, like you got to open up the playbook on first down a little bit more. You can't
Yes.
continue to run the ball because every team knows that we're going to do that.
What was bothering me yesterday is that, especially when Baker was like 15 for 15, we would have like 8 yard, we'd have like 6 or 7 yard pass, and then we had like a 15-yard pass, and then we go down and we hand the ball off, and I'm just kind of like why? Like I don't know. I felt like even though Baker was probably in his best rhythm we've ever seen, I still felt like it was interrupted sometimes,
Yeah.
or even. And I really like the Stefanski way better on third down this week. Obviously, not as good of a defense as the Bengals, but the motion in the backfield and the little handoffs and the little run plays to Landry, just getting people moving with the ball, like running downhill. I really liked how Stefanski called this game.
Yeah, there were some times where it's a little bit too much. He did do a lot of things with Jarvis.
Mhm.
Um, I think he did one too many, and the one too many came from when it was like the one where he pitched it to Jarvis, and then Jarvis was like supposed to run it with Kareem, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. But he ended up tossing it to Kareem. It was just kind of weird. But I agree on first downs. When Baker was in that rhythm, they'd run it with Kareem, and Kareem would end up getting blown up in the backfield, and they put it into
Yes.
2 and 13, and you know, obviously, Baker was able to respond that entire game. But let's just go back to the stats here. So, looking at Baker's stats, 22 of 28. So the kid essentially, so if he had the one incompletion that came out of this besides the first
Spike.
quarter was the spike. So he
Mhm.
legit had a record that was continuous from like the third quarter on for the Cleveland Browns of consecutive passes made, all the way up to 20 passes, right? Because maybe no
21.
21. Yeah, because the
21.
last throw was a touchdown. So, but
Mhm.
yeah, 297 yards and 5 touchdowns and the one interception. That's legit the best stat line that Baker Mayfield has ever had in his entire career. You go down and you look at the players. Rashard Higgins, still to this day, do not know how the man was a healthy scratch for the first 3 weeks of the season. I do not know how it's possible. You look at
Mhm.
this, six receptions for 110 yards,
We
and
have grinders. He's good. I mean, where is Kadeo Hodge? Is he hurt?
yeah, he's still hurt. He's
He's
still
still
hurt.
hurt. That's what I'm saying. Like OBJ, like hopefully it's not bad. Like hopefully it's couple
We
weeks.
won't see him. If anything, we won't see him until after the bye week.
Oh yeah, but I mean, at still like not to put OBJ down, but I'm still if it's OBJ and Chubb hurt, I'd still rather have Chubb 1,000%. Chubb is
Oh
going to make
yeah,
this offense go more. Higgins is a dog, and Higgins wants to play here. He wants to grind for this squad. I mean, Harrison Bryant's a dog too.
yeah. You look at it. I mean, 4 receptions for 56 yards and 2 touchdowns. Donovan Peoples-Jones did not have a single reception coming into this game. I did
Mhm.
not know that. I did not know that he.
Finally,
Yeah, and you were pretty funny yesterday because obviously emotions were running high, but I don't think either one of us are really big fans of DPJ on returns or anything because he.
I would love to see his return stats. I think our average when he returns the ball, I don't think he gets back. I don't think he's got back to the 25-yard line once.
Right, yeah. You're just like he's slow,
They
but
do it every. You can see the teams. The teams literally you got to watch this week, and I'm sure you pick it up because you have a pretty decent football IQ. Their other teams kickers literally kick them the ball on the 1 yard line,
yeah,
and they just
yeah.
let them run.
Well, and even but the thing is, that Cincinnati didn't really even let them do that this week. Like they continued to kick it out of the end zone for the most part, but DPJ 3 receptions, and I think 2 of them came on this last drive. No, did all 3 of them come on the last drive or like the
Maybe,
last 2 drives?
maybe the last two. I didn't hear his name till the fourth quarter. I'm pretty sure.
Right. But
That catch in the end zone was that's the throw. That throw to the end zone is the throw that Baker's got to make the first play to OBJ. Literally,
right.
I think it might have been the same play.
Yeah, but you see how he put it on the back, like
Yes.
we're almost like DPJ. So the end zone's on my right side. He put it
Mhm.
like out here, which is perfect. It's
The
only where
defender
done.
didn't even know the ball was by him, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's like the reason, or like you can go back to why like when they drafted him. A lot of the hits on DPJ where he makes easy catches look hard for some reason, but every now and then he'll make the hard catches look easy. And
Yep.
that catch in the end zone was spectacular. It was just phenomenal. And then, Jarvis, had a quiet day. He tried to do a lot of things. Obviously, you can see that he rushed for 2 times here. He also threw the ball for
Yep.
19 yards. He's always such an active part of our offense. I feel like if he's not, then you got to be worried about something if he's not a part of the offense. But 5 receptions for 48 yards. Kareem, doing his thing out of the backfield with 1 touchdown. And then Njoku making, that the Njoku catch and throw was one of the best connections I've seen in a long time. One of the best throws, one of the best catches I've seen by Cleveland Browns team. The Donovan Peoples-Jones catch and throw, one of the best throws and catch I've ever seen. Just such a phenomenal game. And I mean, that's the game where, people were questioning like what's going to happen. Also, a point that was only brought up on TV for the longest time is that Baker had a cracked rib for the whole time. It's up until this game.
Yeah, I
never heard that he cracked a rib.
The
I heard that
announcers were
Jarvis
saying it.
Yeah, I heard Jarvis cracked a rib, and I'm like, are they talking about Jarvis? But no, like each time they're talking about Baker, and then in the press conferences after the game, for the first time they're like, what's it like for Baker to persevere through him playing through a cracked rib to Kevin Stefanski? I'm like, for the whole time since the Indianapolis game when he like got hurt and everything, and it was like his ribs and everything, not once did I hear that he cracked anything. I heard that like he had bruised it, and that it was like sore and everything. And I don't know, maybe they cracked him in that Steelers game because he got whacked around in that Steelers game. So maybe it happened then. But that was the best game I've ever witnessed by a Cleveland Browns quarterback ever. And I understand if people want to be like, oh, it's the Bengals and they want to kind of put doubt on it. But the point that I want to bring up is that in the past, and a lot of other quarterbacks around the league, I don't think they would have continued to come out after a first drive pick, first quarter as bad as Baker did, and, be able to respond every single drive afterwards with a touchdown. And I just, the Bengals, you can say what you want about them. They're 1 and whatever.
1-5-1.
Yeah, 1-5.
That's what bad teams do, though. Bad teams lose that game. I've seen the Browns. I've seen the Browns will do the same things that the Bengals did on Sunday. I've seen it a dozen times where we're winning. Then the other team the quarterback plays better. I mean, Joe Burrow probably played better maybe 2 out of the 4 quarters. Maybe he stayed along with Baker for the third. Baker played better in the fourth.
Yeah, absolutely. But my thing with the Bengals is if you look at all their games, if you look at all these games here, except for the Ravens game,
games.
They lose very close games.
That's what bad teams do.
This is a team that they should have beat. This is week 1, no preseason, new team. They should have probably won this game. We won by 5. They tied the Eagles. I don't know if that's saying anything, but the Eagles are a decent team. I think they're better than what they've played, but then they beat the Jaguars, a team they should have beat. Then they play the Ravens, just like us. They get kind of smoked. They should have won this Colts game from very beginning, but only end up losing it by 4. They lose all their games except for the Ravens game by 1 score. So they're not like
they could be 3-3.
Yeah, they play in a very hard division. They play with 3 teams that are far and above 500 right now. So, but going back to my Baker point, what did I tell you last week? What did I tell you about his stat line going into this game? About he's going to throw an interception, but he's probably going to outplay Joey Burrow. I think it was that statement was somewhat near to what I said last week, where he's going to have an interception and he's going to probably outplay Joey Burrow. And for all intents and purposes, maybe if you switch the scenarios and Joey Burrow's got to go on that last minute drive, maybe he does it. Maybe the thing is, though, I think the one thing that I will always love about Baker is the one quote that I got out of listening to the press conferences yesterday about, Baker, what was going through your mind on, that last drive when Joey Burrow went in and scored and left you guys a minute and six? And he's like, me and Case Keenum were on the sidelines talking, and we were like, they left us too much time. And he goes out into the huddle, and all the guys around him are going, all right, we need to get to like the 30. We need to get to the 30. And Baker just goes, screw that. Like, there's no need for us to settle for that. Let's go and just do our jobs. And he's such a competitor. Playing through the ribs last week obviously was a questionable decision for a lot of people and their minds. And then, apparently playing through cracked ribs, again, competitor. The man doesn't want to give up. And there's a lot of things that people need to realize. This team is currently 5-2, the best that we're almost already to how many wins we had last season. So
Yep.
that's already an
Sweep the Bengals.
insane.
What do we say? You got to sweep the Bengals.
Yep.
Have to.
So there's already improvements on this team so dramatically, and I think I personally, it's just me, and I don't know what you want to say, Jeff. I don't know if you want to go along with the whole it's the Bengals team thing, but yesterday was the glimpse of 2018, but even further for me, it was, you saw that Baker was making he was doing the thing that he was acclaimed to do in college, and that was him being super accurate and being super on point with his completion percentage and all that. So I got to look back at my franchise quarterback again.
I agree with the accuracy. I just wish he could have started 21 for 21, because if he starts 21 for 21, this game is a rout. We're smoking them. It's not even close. Grind it out. Good teams win games like that, but I don't know, man. The defense the defense has always made me nervous, but the defense plays to a point where it's kind of almost like, and Baker doesn't really help with the first drive, but the defense plays to a point that puts more pressure on Baker, I think. And Baker kind of puts them in short fields, puts the defense in short fields, and doesn't help them to start the game. I mean, we get the ball first, we got to go down and score there instead of having our defense come right onto the field. That's kind of the whole point if we're going to receive the kick. But I mean, a huge game. This is a game. The biggest positive for me is that this is a game that Freddie Kitchens loses. This is a game that Hugh Jackson loses. So, I mean, we're 5-2. We did our job. We can't catch any breaks in our division. But I mean, the Titans
getting a sweep off of the Bengals is huge.
Oh yeah, definitely huge with the way the other two teams are playing. Definitely the biggest. I mean, we got to sweep them. We should be sweeping them. They're not as good as us. But I mean, we just got to keep playing. We got a game plan. We got a game plan for the team ahead of us, and we just got to get Baker into that rhythm earlier.
Yeah, and just talking about, and I agree with you, the rhythm. Once you get Baker in a steady rhythm,
it's like night and day.
My thing is, let me ask you. So there's a lot of times where Baker, I think, has the lead in games, and he feels like taking a shot. Are you okay with, getting out to say, like, we get the early lead? Are you okay with Baker throwing an interception because he wants to take a shot more than how he played this past game where, he started off with the interception and he never really threw the ball like super deep again until, the last minute of the game?
I mean, I just think it's kind of take whatever the defense gives you, but it just is all situational. Like, his interceptions are bad. Like I felt like last year I felt bad for him last year because I felt like a lot of the balls were bad Freddie Kitchens play calls.
Not his fault.
And a lot of tip balls. I felt a lot of balls where our wide receivers hit their hands, went up in the air. This year, his interceptions they're really bad throws, and they just have come at bad parts of the field. They're just unlucky because OBJ gets hurt on this one. So, I mean, if I don't want turnovers in the red zone, and I don't want turnovers on our half of the field, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so I'm just looking at the stats here. Baker only has the 7 interceptions right now. If you can see, he has the six most touchdowns, which is pretty impressive. The QBR is great. That's what you really love to see. He's
top
9th
10
right
QBR.
now. Yeah, that's impressive. I don't know if tied for 27th, if that means that's bad or if that's like good. You know what I'm saying? I'd have to like look up a different quarterback and see.
I think he's.
So let me look up like Joey Burrow and see what pops up, because Joey Burrow has more interceptions than him.
I
So
think
if
that would
it's
be. I think he'd be. I think he has. I think that's saying there's only 3 quarterbacks with more interceptions than him.
oh
Yeah.
wait, Joey Burrow has 5 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, that scared me. Who's a quarterback playing right
Look
now
at Big
that?
Ben. Big Ben's only got 2, or Big Ben has 2 or 3. He's probably tied for. He's got to be top 15, I would guess.
So does it go? Okay, so it does go up.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. So Baker has seven
Yeah.
interceptions.
He's almost got the most in the league.
Yeah, he's got. But Simmons feels like, I feel like at this time
That's
last
a
year.
lot. No, that's a lot. That's 1 a game. He's throwing a pick a game,
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't
and
know,
he's
but
had
I'm
games where he
okay.
hasn't thrown any.
Right, that's true. But he's never thrown more than 2, which I don't know. He's a gunslinger in my, like, when he gets into these scenarios, he's a gunslinger. And that graphic that you pulled up, that you showed me, I don't think I'd be able to pull it up right now, but the graphic of Drew Brees and Brett Favre, of how well they did in their first 3 seasons, and Baker having almost like just like right around a better season than, or
Right.
better 3 seasons than Drew Brees. And then I don't know how
There's
they
a
calculated that, but
there's a lot of Hall of Fame quarterbacks that don't have 21 straight completions. I could tell you that. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if you're playing the Bengals, the Jets. I don't care if you're playing anyone. I mean, you're still playing big boys. You're still National Football League. 21 straight completions. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And there's a lot of quarterbacks who probably are in, the greatest of all time discussion that don't have 21 straight completions.
and you could make the argument that a lot of those were dink and dunks, but even, all right, the throws to Higgins and the throws to Jarvis on the first drive, the last like 2, or like the first 2, the one that he got out of a sack from, where he threw it to Jarvis, that was impressive. And then the one that he threw to Higgins, another very impressive one. So here's a list of quarterbacks to never have completed 21 consecutive passes in an NFL game: Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, Steve Young, Aaron Rodgers, Johnny Unitas. That's just a list of probably the most elite of elite quarterbacks that you could pull up
Yep.
to compare to. Again, it's just like it's a look into what Baker Mayfield could be. And I feel like, as long as this team, this regime stays in connection and they stay together,
Mm,
I think Baker Mayfield's just going to continue to get back into this point where he's learned the offense. He has confidence in himself. I saw Baker Mayfield of old last night, or yesterday. It was, it looked like he had his swagger back. It looked like he was the Baker Mayfield of old. And I feel like moving forward, he doesn't need to. We've said it in the past. He doesn't need to get 5 touchdowns a game, but obviously yesterday,
he did.
he was put in the position where the run offense wasn't doing what it usually does, especially not what it did against the last time they played the Bengals, obviously with Nick Chubb there and everything. But Baker Mayfield, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better game from him. And I hope going forward, Kevin Stefanski game plans a little bit around, building Baker's confidence and starting that off early, instead of, don't take the shots. You don't need to take those shots early. Set up the small stuff first. I think that's what, watching the Steelers game, talking about Big Ben, that's what they continued to harp on a little bit, was that, they started off with the short ones. And then later on in the game, they came back. They're talking about that one Chase Claypool, or maybe, I don't know, the one pass where, they're like, oh, Denzel Ward came up on it earlier, and, they pumped it and, sent the dude right past Denzel. And,
Yep.
Those are the plays that you gotta set up early, and instead of try to take those hits right away. So, but essentially how I'm just going to wrap this up is, for all those people who slander Baker Mayfield, I don't want to hear any more slander for the rest of my life. That was single-handedly
The rest of your life.
single-handedly the greatest
Got 10 games left.
greatest quarterback play I have ever
Got
seen
9 games
from a
left.
quarterback within the Cleveland Browns organization.
That ain't saying much.
I don't think in the last, well, you're right, probably not. The last 2 decades, since they've come back from, not being here anymore, since they've returned as an organization, the greatest play of a quarterback from a Cleveland Browns team ever. I don't know if there's any quarterback in the history of the maybe somewhere in the history of the Browns, but I don't know the last time that a quarterback threw for 5 touchdowns and drove a team down in a minute 6 seconds to win a game. I don't remember it. I don't know if you remember it.
I don't remember it. Maybe Derek Anderson, but
Nah.
I'm gonna put it more casually. When one thing goes bad for Baker, it's like he's just falling through space. Like I feel like people love just keep pushing it, keep having his floor go down and down and down. But I don't think people talk about his ceiling enough where that's what you should be getting from him. I mean, game in and game out, he's not there yet. He ain't throwing 5 touchdowns a game. He's not throwing 4 touchdowns a game. Let's build on it and let's do it again. I know that that's a great game. That's a good game. We got to win. Let's have 5 touchdowns against the Ravens. Let's have 5 touchdowns against Steelers. Let's smoke this Oakland team, so whatever, Las Vegas. But let's play better than Derek Carr.
Washington football team.
Play better than the other. If he plays better than the quarterback we are playing, then there's nothing you could say bad about him.
That's probably game over then. That probably means that we've won the game.
That probably means we won. There's no disrespect there. You could see our losses. Lamar Jackson outplays them heavily. Big Ben outplays him last week. It's not even close. It's not even. Baker's not even in the game in the third quarter. That's what I'm saying. Let's cut the ups and downs. Let's get on a steady incline upward. And I mean,
he doesn't have to throw for 5 or 4 touchdowns, but he does have to. He does. My thing is, I think
he outplays Dak. He basically outplays Dak in the Cowboys game. I mean, for the most part, but I mean, our one quality win is still the Colts. The Cowboys, I know with Dak, we're way better, but the Cowboys are not very good. This Raiders team is a quality win, and there's still quality wins left on the thing. Yeah.
6-2. Could you imagine that going into a bye week and getting people back?
And we still have the bye week. Steelers are done on the bye week. Ravens are done after this week. This was their bye week. I mean, we still have not hit the bye week yet, but he cannot play bad against teams that are just as good as us or better. Or he's going to keep getting slander, which is probably deserved.
This is going to be, we said it about the Indianapolis game where, this is going to be the game where the Browns as a team need to be able to win these games. And the ones where it's not so sure going into the game who's the better team.
Yep. I don't want the Mayfield cycle. I don't want to get smoked by a good team, come out and smoke an inferior team, and now he'll be if he plays like that the rest of the season, then I mean, I give him the respect, but I'm here to criticize too. I think that it's not. Everything set aside, the coach changes, how many playbooks he's been through, whatever. He got 9 games to really show how good he is. I mean, he already has proven I'm not questioning. I don't get the people that question his character. That's out of the way for me. I've loved his character. I liked his character. I saw the man play. I saw him dot the O at Ohio Stadium or wherever the shoe.
Yeah, plant the flag. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw him be a grinder. I'm seeing him play with a cracked rib, apparently, that I didn't even know about.
Right.
That it's not like he's making excuses for himself. I mean, the poor guy's out there getting smoked last week, and now he's, making comeback drives this week. So his character has always been 100 for me. It's the play, it's the decision making, it's the being able to read defenses, elite defenses. Now let's keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And so my only point is that out of everything that happened in this game, the 5 touchdowns, the 200 and some yards, my biggest thing is the groove, the rhythm, the 22 and 28. That's the biggest thing. If Baker can continue to have games where he, the incompletions don't get out of control and he doesn't string them together, I rather him have the string of completions than the string of incompletions. That's the biggest thing. I think that's where Baker makes his that's where he makes his money. I was going to say his bread and butter like a Baker, but thought that was too corny, but I said it anyway. So, but yeah. So Jeff, I mean, if you don't got anything else, I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I think that's a great team win, and I think I
Yes,
obviously
sir.
it's a team that we should have beaten. We did. It was a little bit closer than it should have been, but anytime we score over 30 points, Jeff, I think we're winners. So that's a big thing. But
Agree.
um, yep. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you all for watching, listening. We really do appreciate it. We're gonna come back with the preview and everything, but the Cleveland Browns 5-2. First time in a very, very, very long time that's happened, and we couldn't be happier. Be happy is my thing for all of you watching, for all you listening. Be happy, enjoy it. We go into a big game this weekend. If you're going to the game like I am, be loud, be proud. It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun as always. And yeah, if you guys could share this with your friends, with your family, try to, leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave comments, we'll get to all that. We would appreciate all that. And yeah, this is the Cleveland Pulse podcast, and we'll catch you later. Peace.